Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper, and to part 2 in this series that I've titled Defending the Creator's Calendar. Now, in this second part of this video series, we're going to talk about the most important aspect that a person should look at whenever learning about the Creator's calendar, and that is considering all the calendars. Okay? Now, what I mean by that is this. There's the Creator's way, and then there's Satan / man's way. Okay? Now you either got to take this one or you got to take this one. If you don't follow this one, you'll take this one by default if you're trying to worship the Most High. Okay? And you don't carefully guard His commands. Just saying. Alright, now I don't want to offend anyone. I just want to share with you facts and knowledge. Alright? Not my opinions. I want to give you hard historical fact so that you can make a sound decision in the path that you want to walk. Okay, now one scripture that I want you to read before we go any further so that we lay out who the enemy is Daniel. Okay, read this in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 25. All right, we're going to find out something very important when you read that, okay? And that is that there is two things, this beast power, which if you study Scripture, you will find that is the Roman Catholic Church, the man of sin at its head, the papacy, okay? And those two things that they have changed, attempted to change anyway, is times and laws. All right, now you might say, well, what does that have to do with the calendar? It has everything to do with the calendar. Here's the thing. If you look in Strong's Concordance, you get a free app like eSword, you can find that the Chaldee word, it corresponds to the Hebrew word, which I think is 2165 in the Strong's Concordance. I think 2163, they're both about the same along that, how that they're numbered. I think that's Zaman is the Hebrew word. I don't have it in front of me at the moment. I've tried to memorize this stuff over time because I'm telling you people, you better be able to remember it without having to have a book later down the road. Anyway, that word corresponds to something very important. A appointed time. Okay? Appointed occasion is actually what the Strong's Concordance states. And forgive me if I misspell this stuff. This is straight off the top of my head as we do these videos, okay? It's all for education purpose. So, there you go. The Hebrew word that it's in that scripture right there when it says times, it's talking about appointed occasions. So it's talking about appointed times, the appointed times of worship. Well, Rome's changed the calendar, obvious. Now, the other thing, though, is laws. See, there's two parts of that got changed, attempted by Rome. And the word that corresponds to that in Hebrew is 1881. I did have to write that one down. And that is stands for the Hebrew word that you'll find there in that scripture. And when you read that in the Strong's Concordance right there, it actually means statutes and commandments. So, has Roman Catholic Church done that as well? Absolutely. If you look at the Ten Commandments, they have practically just destroyed them the way that they have them laid out, as opposed to reading them laid out in Exodus. Okay, it's completely two paths diverged. So here you go. There is something definitely wrong with the calendar and laws. Somebody's messed that up. Well, we can do our due diligence and find out that's wrong. All right, now, to what we really want to know today, though, is what's all the facts about the calendars, okay? Well, I'm going to put the blue up for a minute, and we're going to go straight into this. The Julian calendar, okay, before it was ever come about, everybody wants to talk about the Julian and the Gregorian calendar. We need to backpedal further. All right, we know from Genesis 1 and 14 that the Creator's calendar was laid out. It used two lights set in the heavens, okay? So what I want to show you is how Satan has took what was initially created for time and twisted it for his own ends. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. The Julian calendar, like the one before it, was A through H, was how it was lettered. Okay? Now, let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my gosh! It's an 8-day calendar. 8-day week in a calendar. Are you serious? Yes. So, before I go into the Julian, I'm going to backpedal just one calendar before it. The Roman Republic calendar was an 8-day week calendar, okay, with a market day. All right, now here's the deal. The thing was lunisolar. Who knew, right? So they used a calendar layout format kind of like what the creator had intended for us, but this is the slow diverge off the right path, okay? So here you go. It was lunisolar, 8 days long instead of 7, and this was in place before the Julian calendar. Excuse me. So this was before the time of Messiah, okay? But the thing about this is this not made up, okay? The name of this, if you want to look this up, and I will also have some research information in the video description so you can find this stuff out and look it up. The name of that calendar is Fasti Roman, okay? And that there is only one copy of it currently still in existence today, and that is the one that I'll try to get you the reference to, but it does still exist, okay? So now let's move forward to the Julian calendar, and we can see here that, like the calendar of the Republic before it, it also had an A through H was how it was listed, and you can see a picture of it. I'll get information where you can view the stone fragments of one of those still in existence. Okay, now this one was a solar only calendar, okay, from the best information I can gather. I mean, it really doesn't matter if it's lunisolar or not. The point is that you've still got the 8-day week. Now this was in existence, okay, you ready for this? Here's the kicker. Here's what no historians hardly want to talk about, and you do your due diligence and look it up. From 63 BC to AD 37, this thing was still in existence. Alright, you find a problem right here? Messiah come in between there. Now, do you think he would have kept an 8-day Roman calendar or the 7-day lunisolar biblical calendar of the Creator? Bam, bomb drop, okay? So all these people say, oh, well, the calendar was right at the time of Messiah, so it's 7777. Hey, I ain't arguing the calendar of the Creator was right at the time of Messiah. What everybody's trying to say is the Roman calendar and the Creator's calendar are one and the same. Well, now here we go. Here's the division, okay? So now if you want to keep Saturday Sabbath and condemn the Sunday keeper and the lunisolar biblical keeper, you got a problem here. You're going to have to explain this away to me, because this is why I will never keep Saturday Sabbath, because the calendar at the time of Messiah that Rome had is not one and the same with the Creator's. Okay? Now that's just the bottom line. And keep in mind, folks, that it was A through H. That's, or look at that, I got 8 on my mind. A through H. So that's 8 days long. Oh, and an interesting note that I didn't mention is the lunisolar Roman calendar before the Julian one even had an intercalary month. So, I mean, they really tried to keep it pretty close to the Creator's kind of in a way, but nevertheless, it was pagan. Now, moving forward, the baths of Titus in Rome. You can see research information on this as well. People will say that, you know, for those that will argue the case that Saturday is Sabbath and it's 77777. Now there's another issue of that. If you say that Saturday is always the Sabbath, you're going to have a problem, because in AD 79 through 81 you can find that they found this information on the Baths of Titus, like I've already stated, that the and I hate saying pagan gods' names, but the god of agriculture to the Romans, okay, his name was Saturn. I believe to the Chaldee his name was Stur, is how they had it wrote. But anyway, his name has been many different things. That is nevertheless worship of Satan, though. Now here's the interesting kicker. Are you ready for this? On the 7-day week, when the Julian calendar finally got into the 7-day kind of grind, they had this stick calendar. You know, it had the months, blah, 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 blah. They had their pagan gods up above it. And this one here, though, was Saturn. Who knew, right? The first day of the week. Guess who the joker was on the second day of the week? Sunday. Venus, or it's Dies Sola, I believe is how they said that. Forgive me. I don't try to keep up with the pagans. But anyway, there you go. So here's a problem. Saturn's day used to be the first day of the week. How can you tell me today it's the 7th day, the Sabbath day, if it was the first day long ago? Okay, and it started out with the Romans. So once again, here's an issue. Now, the sun worshippers eventually got their day to be venerated first, so that hacked out Saturn, and he actually got kicked to the end of the crew. So, Venus Day and all these other days, he even got put at the tail end of that. So now today, our current calendar is as so, Sunday's first day of the week, Saturday's seventh day, blah, 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 blah. All right. Now, I want to tell you something about that, folks. If you look up in American Samoa, all right, I believe this took place in American Samoa last year. Because of a trade agreement, they wanted to get back on a different time zone. So it cut American Samoa into a different time zone. Now, this split the Seventh-day Adventist Church in half, just about. And it really shows you how that messed up the Saturn keeping situation is. It tore the church so badly in half that part of them, even though that a day time frame was lost in it, they just stuck with Saturn's day. And the other part of them stuck with Sunday worship. So they went to keeping Sunday, even though there's a Seventh-day Adventist church. Now, how jacked up is that? So anyway, that's where the situation they're at with their church right now. Now, and you can research that up. Just Google American Samoa Church, the Saturday-Sunday crisis. It's crazy. Now, my last bit of information that I will leave with you is this, on this second part of this series, is now look, you have two options in life. You have fact, which I hold as truth, and then you have feelings and tradition, which leads to error. The greatest controversy that has ever yet to take place upon the face of the earth, I feel in my heart, will be centered around two things, ladies and gentlemen. It will be centered around these two: Sabbath and Messiah. I know Messiah as Yahushua. I don't accept the J name from Rome. I don't go with that, okay? You can keep your Jesus of Rome. I will serve Yahushua of Nazareth, the Messiah that came on his Father's behalf to be an emissary for the kingdom and pay the price for me. That's who I follow. The Sabbath I keep is the Sabbath of creation. It is the one, the lunisolar biblical one, that we're going to study way more about in this series. If you want to keep the Sabbath of Rome, whether it's Saturn's day on that Roman calendar or Sun's day on that Roman calendar, please don't look down on those of us that try to stay consistent with the Creator's appointed times of worship, because I have history on my side and the Torah. You have feelings and suppositions. So I encourage you to continue to watch this series as we're going to break down in the next portion. I think I'm going to go over things such as the manna, because people say that New Moon Day was left out, and oops, I should have put an NM there with a red. And then the 30th day of the month, if there was one at sometimes. So I'm going to go over some things like that, where the hard math is and all these things. Why does it not work in the Creator's calendar? I've seen all these question marks. Well, we're going to continue to answer those. And in the meantime, I hope this has been a blessing to you. And until we see you again here at Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel and in Part 3, I hope you have a most blessed day in Yahushua's name.